Welcome to another edition of the Gamer Gambit, where a fateful roll of the dice will fill you with awe or indifference. Corey, I believe you have a special title ready for us tonight.
Yes, and that is Ocean Commotion.
Ocean or potion?
Potion, as
Potion,
in a
that's right.
magic potion.
Yeah. Nerdy Bird Studios. I like it.
This is Potion Commotion. It is, again, it falls into the clicker category of games, so there's lots of clicking involved. The game is centered around making potions and harvesting ingredients. There's a little cheerful banter. I sped this part up, but because I wanted to kind of show the tutorial, which I thought the tutorial was pretty well done. They walk you through. This is at, I think, like 800% speed, so you can tell already how slow my normal reading ability is. But they walk you through and just kind of show you the user interface, what buttons do what, and the tutorial, like most newer tutorials, I guess I'll say, are on rails, such that it prevents you from clicking on things that you're not supposed to click on with what they're trying to show you.
Mm-hmm.
So I went through the tutorial. They show you that area with the wizard and the cauldron, and then they walk you through this outside garden area, is what it's referred to as, and you plant things such as apple trees, candy trees. There's a beanstalk, and there's just, as you see in the menus going by here kind of fast, but you get some animals to put down, and they're all upgradable. And
wait, was that a three-eyed sheep?
Is that yes, there's.
So after for sure.
So basically, you do a lot of clicking as a clicker game. So you can wait for all these things; they'll eventually fall off on their own. But if you want to click on them, you can harvest them once they have that barrier around them. You can click on them and get them about 15 seconds sooner. So as the game goes on and you get more levels and level up, you unlock more potions, and you can get more upgrades for your items. There's also little enemy guys, that goblin. There's some spiders, and shoot, I forget the third one. That will come and like take some of your goods. So you got to click on them. They also make you click.
Aren't you getting tired yet?
They also make you click to get your money after you get you get money for the potions, and you get those things in the top right corner. I forget what they're called, magic beans or something. And you spend those on upgrades so that your items produce more or faster. You can also expand your garden left to right, which gives you more area surface that you have to scroll and keep the goblins and the spiders and stuff out. But yes, this is, if you're thinking it, it's true. Each one of the coins, like, it's 1 coin per click.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So that was just level 7, and the money goes up every time. So I had to click that
1,637 times.
Right. You do get a little bit of.
You get some bonuses.
Yeah, you get some bonuses out here. You click on the flying pig. You see, I get plus 70 coins. And it looks like I didn't keep the audio leveled for that one. But yeah, you gotta keep on coming and clicking back on that money bag. But that's essentially the game. I got up through level 7. I'll just come back into this after the tutorial portion.
So the objective then is just to level and get more money, right?
Right. So you can get more or different animals. You start off with being able to get sheep, and then if you notice near the end, I had a dragon. I'll come back to this part for a minute. So by the time I got here at the end, I had camels, right, and they produce chocolate milk. And then there's a dragon that I had, this little dragon guy. They lay eggs, and you can see down at the bottom are the ingredients, or kind of like your inventory. So the potions, each of the potions take certain amount of ingredients, and they'll automatically make in the cauldron. But when they are making, you can go to the cauldron and you can click on the cauldron to make it go faster.
Okay.
Hence adding more of the clicking. So between clicking to get your money, clicking for the cauldron, clicking on if you want to harvest the sheep faster, you click on them and you shave their wool off or whatever. Clicking on the chocolate milk, clicking on the eggs, the spinach leaves, the apples. You got to click on the spiders to make them go away. You can see by the look of this spider, I had just clicked on it.
Is that what that look means?
Yes. You can see it go back up.
Yeah.
So you can see the little mouse pointer I'm moving around with the clicks there. So you can see I click on him and he goes away. So I save my apple. But that is essentially the whole game. There's I went to level 7 and unlocked a couple of things, and I, other than more unique.
Now this feels
things
this seems like it feels like something designed for a phone or a tablet, but it happens to be on the PC. Is that fair?
I don't know, because I don't have a whole bunch of those games in my under my belt, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So let me stop sharing.
Yeah, and I've never played anything like this before either, but I was just thinking about the UI that I was looking at, because the buttons are kind of oversized. Everything is laid out pretty wide, and left and right side of the screen, aspect ratio, all of that.
It could very well possibly. I do know of a couple of games that are in the clicker family, and that's where the actual category or genre of game called clicker games is specifically, for a mouse. And I agree that a lot of those games might naturally translate into a mobile interface. Well, right, but I mean, clicking is bad enough, but I couldn't imagine tapping on one spot on my screen 1,500 times to get money. So yes, I also I found source code for an auto clicker. So I downloaded the source code and I compiled it myself, and I used it.
Okay.
So that moment in the video where I was talking and the money was up, and you could see the coin count going at the bottom.
Yeah.
All 1,500 of that was real time, and I had the auto clicker set to 10 milliseconds. So so I left that in there on purpose, because that clicking that many times, I mean, that fast naturally is impossible for one thing.
Right.
But we were sitting there at that screen for, I think it's a good 45 seconds in real time, that it takes a bot at 10 milliseconds to click.
Yeah.
I guess maybe, milliseconds to second, I mean, I guess that's easy, 15 seconds or, whatever the conversion is. But in any case, I guess 10/100 is 1 second.
Well, and there's the latency on which each click was fired, but there's probably also the latency of your system responding. So it may not have been 10 milliseconds in real time.
Right, and also the game frame rate or tick rate, as far as it might not have received all those inputs.
Right.
So in any case, so at that point, when I got to level 3 or 4, and I noticed that the amount of coins going into that bag was going up drastically, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to. It's too much longer if I need to click on this bag.
You're going to need an extra mouse, a burner mouse.
Yes. Or if you ever played on a gaming console and done one of those like old Nintendo, and you had to break out of a hold or something by hitting A and B rapidly. So you would turn the controller sideways and get it in your lap, and you'd go, you like back and forth. Yeah. So unless I did that with the mouse, which I wasn't going to do to this, but that's the game. It was okay. I'm not a big into the clicker kind of genre.
Right.
But I think that this is something that would, by the younger audience. In any case, it's captivating. It's got bright, colorful characters. It's got a great tutorial, and can maybe be beneficial from a multitasking training, brain training, if you will,
That's probably a
standpoint. Because,
reach.
well, I'm just, I mean, while I was doing it, I was needing to manage multiple things in my head
Oh,
that
that's
were
true.
not on screen. So I had to remember the ingredients in the potions. I had to plant each one of those items. I had to expand the area while keeping goblins and spiders out. But also, I had to, if you want to make the potions and you get the money and those little upgrade beans or whatever, magic upgrade beans, whatever they were, you get those from selling your potions, which is basically making the potions. So, and if you want to do that, you have to do that faster. So you have to
Mhm.
understand the ingredients you have, and if you have enough to actually make a potion that, or one that's making a potion, um, then you have to go back to that screen and click on it to make it go faster, while also thinking about um, what's going on in your garden and keeping
Right.
keeping the stuff out. Um, Other than that, there's a couple other things that I did not show in the video. The music that was playing, there's a little stereo, and you can click on that stereo and actually change the music. I got the collector's edition of it to support the developer.
Nice.
The collector's edition came with the soundtrack. Um, so I don't know if that, because I've got the collector's edition, if that music box had an extended list, or that feature was maybe unlocked by it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the box allowed you, the stereo, whatever, you could change the music or stop it if you wanted to. There was a phone booth out there. I didn't get a clip of it. I went through that. I upgraded the phone booth, and the phone booth upgrade allows you to make a call, and you call. There's like one of 5 people. I only had the first one unlocked, and he increases the flying pig and that crate, the supply crate. Those are considered free bonuses if you click on them. He increases that occurrence by 25% and 7% chance to, oh shoot, what was it? 7% chance to auto harvest
Mhm.
something that was ready. And you can upgrade those
To save you some
get
time.
more of those individuals as well. There's a gnome character that can help keep the goblins and stuff out, but takes up a slot in your garden, if you will, because you can only have so many the animals and or plants at a time. When you go to plant them, there's like a little template you kind of snap it into of where you can place it. And if your garden's not wide enough, or in the case of the animals, if there's not enough space for the creatures, I guess I'll say. So it's maybe a trade off, but between clicking around on stuff and having to keep things out, that's maybe a very I can see where that's a stretch, and also a very long-winded way of saying, trying to fit that, shoehorn that in. But
So how
I mean, the
long
game's
did you
game's all
spend
right.
on it? How many hours?
I think I spent about an hour.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
So it didn't take you a
and
long time to get to those levels. You actually plowed through. I liked that there were so many graphic elements, and I'm guessing there's way more that you just didn't even see. So there's a lot of assets in this product, which is kind of cool.
yeah, I think it wasn't in the clip that I put together, but I did I did go through all of the potions and all of the creatures that are there. They all have silhouettes, and info boxes and descriptions as far as the bonuses that they, if they give you any bonuses or not. You can also upgrade them so that they give their bonuses more often, or more of them, or faster,
Yeah.
or whatever. Like the chocolate milk, for example, you can get more chocolate milk, and it's retroactive to all of that type, of creature or whatever,
I can tell
that
you
you
really
have.
got into it. Like you've got in the back of your mind your inventory and the things that you need.
Well, yeah, and that's also part of the reason why I elected to not go farther in it, was because I mean, I don't want to say I caught myself getting like too involved with it, or too addicted to it, I guess to say, but I could see like wanting to go, just like playing
Yeah.
an MMO, right? Just, how about one more level,
Well, because it's
Let's see.
also easy enough. There's a reward built in, and it's continual. So you kind of just want to see what's the next thing that I get.
Well, right, in this case, they all unlock sequentially from they're all organized in their respective UI and tabs to unlock linearly. And the only thing I was only getting new potions and their respective plants to put. Those were the only things that I was getting up to level 15. And the amount of time it takes, I could see where this could hockey stick maybe at some point as far as how often you're making potions. But I didn't see that in sight. So for me, I was looking at it, I'm just like, each level and experience takes more and more and more experience and stuff to get through. I don't see myself getting to 15 with any level of satisfaction.
Right.
And I didn't want to put myself through that for the sake of, additional footage, because outside of those art assets, the game does not change. I'd experienced all of the whole game, just not all of the art assets.
Right, all the pieces. So speaking of which, what did you rate it?
A 3 out of 5. For art, I'll give it. It's not my kind of art, but it's still they put some time into the art and a little bit in the animation. So they were not displeasing. So I'll give 1 for art. I'm gonna give a 0 for mechanics, because part of it is I'm not a fan of the clicker genre, but more so in that the only mechanic of the game was clicking. Just to get, for whatever reason, you're either protecting your stuff or trying to get stuff to also click on potions to also get. So clicking is, and that's maybe where the genre title comes from, is the purpose of the game is to click.
Right.
So, and
break your mouse.
Right, and I don't like that. So, so a 0 for there. The controls, also a 0. All you used was the mouse. Maybe if I limited it to saying, well, since this is a clicker genre, do I rate it the controls as in that context through that lens? In which case it would be a 1, because it does that, right?
The clicking worked.
the clicking works in the game, but overall, just controls, all you do is click. So 0. Also a 0 for the story or narrative. That intro portion that I did have in the video, it has some voiceovers, and which I thought were great. Adding those in, a couple of different characters, but otherwise you're basically told it's potion making time, and we can grow stuff in the garden and then make potions. There's nothing really deep or captivating in there. And then I give it a 1 for the sound,
because it was pretty rich.
But they had the music and the music options. I guess as far as if you wanted something kind of ambient in the background while you're clicking, it wasn't bad. It was kind of jivey. I got the collector's edition, like I mentioned, so I'll be able to listen to more of that.
Put that on your playlist and use it to work too.
And and overall they had I would say sounds that fit. When you click on the money bag, you hear somewhat of a exactly, you hear a coin sound. The cauldron does have like a boily sound to it when you're on that screen. So they put some effort in there to not ship it out the door with early access or something like that, I don't think. So that's the 3 out of 5.
Yeah, 3 out of 5 is pretty good. I can dig it. All right, so then my title was called Not the Robots, which is exactly how I read it when I first saw it. But as I learned later, it's really more like Not the Robots. I think that would be more accurate. So let's see if I can share mine. Okay, so mine had some pretty funky sound, so I'm going to bring up the volume just so you can hear that, and then I'll bring it back down as we talk about it. So let me see if I can give you an accurate depiction of this.
Oh, I see the exclamation points.
Yeah, not the robots. All right, so if you're picking this sound up the way I did, I felt like this was algorithmically produced. Like it felt like it was not necessarily on beat, as though something programmatic was generating these tones. All right, so once you get in, there is kind of this cool electronic noir kind of sound to it, I guess. You're dropped into a building. At first, you just have control of the camera, so you're actually shifting around and looking at the scene. You can't really interact with it, but you hit space to get going, and you just... the game tells you over and over to take your time. So and this was early in the game still, so I was looking at the scene trying to figure out, all right, obviously I've got timing. I don't at this point know what those laser beams do, but I can guess. And I didn't mention, but the whole objective of this game is that you are a robot who's dropped into an office building and you must eat furniture. That is your job. In fact, the game says, this is their quote, "Not the Robots is the year's most exciting roguelike stealth furniture eating simulator." And I think that's probably true. It is the best and the only roguelike stealth furniture eating simulator. So go ahead.
How do you know what completes a level?
On the bottom right, you have the amount of food that you must consume. So that's the amount of furniture you must consume. It's actually, the number is what's left over. On the lower left is your health. If that goes to 0, you are out. The reason I thought the sound might be programmatic was because the levels are actually procedural as well. So if I die and restart the game, I will not see this level again. So I can see where there might be advantage to actually go ahead and die. Because there were some levels that were ridiculously hard early on, and I did die. So then you go and play it again, and you're like, oh, okay, this one's not nearly as bad. And I think there are still aspects that are given to you for each given level. Like it may say this one has X number of lasers and is of this size. And you'll notice too, like looking, you can see the outline of the building around you. So in the beginning of the game, those towers that you saw were actually buildings, but you were actually technically moving up through the building. So you're going through the various floors of the building in order to complete a phase of the game. And so you can see here I was early on still being really careful. The lasers hurt you if they touch you, and I was consuming the food slowly and watching the laser beams, and still not sure of all the things that I can do or should not do, which I kind of liked. I also liked that you'll notice that the laser beams go under the furniture sometimes. So furniture that has gaps or holes in it, things can see through those, things can pass through those. So the physics works pretty well. I mean, there's some bounding box problems here and there, but overall the physics worked pretty well. You'll also notice the lasers fall off. There's a kind of a fuzz at the end of them. So that is a safe zone for you to be in. And I think some have more power than others, so that's kind of interesting. But you see here, I get zapped by it, and I'm down to 90 health. And once you have enough food, you go back to your teleporter and floor complete, at which point you get a little bit of a narrative to kind of pass you on. And here I've finished building 1, move on to building 2, and I have to work through. So this is actually later in the game. I don't know, building 3 maybe. And you can see that things have ramped up a lot. There's a lot more going on. The hardest thing is those robots you see floating around. They have machine guns on them. And if they see you, they go into alarm mode and they do not go off. So they now move faster and they shoot on sight. And you can see here, if you have 3 health, you don't heal at the end of the level. You just keep churning through and see how far you can get. It was hard. Like it ramped up. Some of the levels, like I said, were just really hard, but I think it's designed for you to play over and over again because you get more bonuses as you work through it. You unlock a lot more types of games. So in the beginning you saw the opening screen was just like campaign, options, and exit. You'll see here at the end that after having gone through several buildings, I now have operations, challenges, story entries. So this game actually has a story to it, which I didn't put that in the recording, and I should have, but I didn't see it until late late in my game. I played almost 2 hours, and there were several repeats, to try again on certain levels. So, but I did encounter an element that suggested that there's an actual story. So the whole thing has kind of this noir aspect that I mentioned, but it's a little dystopian. And so you do kind of wonder, like, what is going on? And so nuggets start getting dropped in the game where you pick up an email out of one of those computers, or you find a memo that was left, or a voice recording or something. And so you start to get, like, there's there's voice acting. So they have lots of people voicing story elements, narratives that you pick up as the robot, and I guess it starts to unfold, like, what exactly is going on, why you are a robot eating furniture. I don't know what it is, but now I'm kind of encouraged to go back and continue plowing through it, even though it's so hard, to see if I can learn more about it. And like I said, I think it's designed to fail and go back and play again. I actually played campaign for a little while, and then after I'd unlocked some things, I went back and played some of the other story options that they had, just to see, what am I unlocking here? And so there were challenges, like the room is set up in a way that is clearly going to challenge some particular aspect of your game. And so then you work through those and get better at those things. In the end, I gave this a score of 5. I thought the game, and I'm starting to wonder if I'm being too forgiving on my scoring, but
Yes.
and I've forgot to mention too, this is by 2D Array. That's the developer. But the art, the lo-fi render was cool without being, like, dumb. So sometimes you see the lo-fi render where it's like pixel Minecraft kind of rendering, right? Which I just feel like surely you can produce something better than that. But this one actually had a lot of detail in the render, so it was lo-fi, but it actually was detailed. The mechanics were, I mentioned the thing about the laser beams going underneath the furniture. Those robots that scan back and forth, they can see you if you duck behind furniture. They can see you if their furniture just has legs. They can see you ducking behind it. And there is a duck function, so you have to duck behind certain types of furniture, or they will see you. You can sneak up behind them; they can't see you. So I thought there was good attention to detail there. The controls worked great. WASD to move around, space to interact. I had Q and E to move through inventory, and then the mouse simultaneously moved your camera. So you had camera movement from a third party where you're moving the room around, and then you had robot movement with WASD, which was jarring at times, because if you moved the camera, your robot always moves north on screen, right? So you kind of have to think about how your camera position is compared to the position you're trying to move into. But it works out pretty intuitively. Yeah, it actually is really intuitive, but if you are just like holding a direction and turning the camera, then your robot is going to also turn unexpected. It's not going to work the way you think it is. So you have to stop and think about what's happening. There is a story, which I did not expect there to be a story. So then I was like, wait, that's actually really funny. I want to hear more about the story. And there was voice recording narrative. So, I thought that was pretty well executed too. And then the sound, I thought the music was cool. I mean, it was glib and electronic and a little loungy. And then there might have been aspects of programmatic beats, which is just ridiculous and pretty funny. So yeah, all in all, I liked all of the aspects that it was giving me, even though it was a ridiculous title. And there, as I understand,
many?
Yeah, there are 7 buildings, if that's what you were going to ask. There's 7 buildings with increasing difficulty, and I think I got to building 3, and I felt like it was getting really hard with all those roving robots.
So do you know if there's anything else that is added to kill you besides the lasers and the robots? Is there anything after that?
Don't know that it was adding, like in that last level you saw, the floor had some contact points that would also kill you. So I don't know if there is more. I feel like there probably will be, or maybe there's things maybe those elements have modifications to them. There's also like these boxes you can pick up that give you special weapons, special abilities, or whatever. I don't know what all of those are because I found two that I really liked, and I never wanted to get rid of them. You can only have like at my level, I could only have 2 slots for inventory, and each item that you used had a pretty long cooldown, so you might only get one use of it in a single level. And I just found that the two that I picked were so good, and if I dump it, I may not get it again. And if I get something that I can't use, like that's a big part of the game, I feel, is having the right inventory. So it would probably help me to go and explore a little bit to see what other types of things there are that I could pick up.
Fair enough.
Yep. So yeah, pretty good title ultimately. Not the Robots by 2D Array. Hilarious subtitle, and yeah, I didn't expect it to be as entertaining and interesting as it was.
Yeah, I forgot to mention for my game that it supports co-op, and I
Okay.
don't know if that is also it definitely supports co-op through remote play,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it supports co-op as from like a multiplayer standpoint.
Like local.
You load a copy. Well, you load a copy. I load a copy.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, having 2 mouse pointers on a one computer, yeah. But remote. I did get the remote play dialogue, and then there's a play cooperatively option that's there. It would be interesting to play a game where the whole sole purpose of the game is to click the mouse, just depending on what you want to click on, and actually do that cooperatively. I kind of raised my eyebrow at that to like,
Right.
I got a friend who he said anymore all he does is just kind of lounge around and play clicker games, and like just to do that. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know.
competitively,
I think just
cooperatively, like what is that?
yeah, I don't have I guess I don't have the mindset to think of if I'm playing one of those games, then part of the reason I'm playing the game is because I want to be left alone.
Right.
I want to be left alone. I just want to click this
Just wanna
mouse and do
click.
something. I don't want to think about anything complex. I just want to click on shit.
I'm
And
sorry, clicking a game is a guilty pleasure.
yeah, that's just an experience I don't think I would ever want to share with anybody or ask someone to join me.
Right.
So I thought so I wanted to give it its due diligence that it did at least have that feature, but I
Right.
forgot to.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I don't believe mine has any kind of cooperative play, but I could see where that could get quite interesting if you had somebody, like if you could set up levels and then somebody else had to play them, or if you had 2 robots that could then tag team a particular level, that could be interesting too. But I don't know. I don't know if those, there's a lot of unlocks available in Not the Robots.
Yeah, and not the robots as well. I did think that it'd be interesting which came first, the chicken or egg, I guess, in a sense where the in the beginning part of your video, before the robots started showing up, I was sitting here thinking about, the overall mechanic. And the mechanic is, or at least in that first level, was to not get hit by the lasers, and the order in which you eat the furniture plays a big part in your success.
That's right. Yeah.
Um, so I thought
I realized that very
I thought that
quickly.
part was interesting.
Yeah, because you'd go to eat something and you're like, oh no, I need to leave that because it's blocking my path. And the lasers don't tear you up too quickly, so you could probably just run through them. I'm guessing in later levels though that changes, and that since they had kind of a burn off on the end, I'm guessing that also changes as you go forward. So easy things that could probably change, in the weaponization that they've got.
Well, definitely with those robots, if you're kill on sight,
Yeah.
then you definitely can't just burn straight through the level.
Well, I basically lit up all. So the robots walk around. I think they're called guardians. The robots patrol, and they are in non-alarm mode. So they're just patrolling. And if they see you, their skull opens and a gun comes out and they start firing on you. And you can burn through. Like I started that level with. Actually, I started that level with like 3 health because I had got blown
Oh, I didn't
up.
notice that.
Yeah, I had got blown up in levels before, and you don't heal per level. There are healing blocks in some levels, but you just never know when you're going to encounter them. So I was having to be really careful on that level, and in the end, I tried to run, thinking maybe I'll get shot, but it'll be okay. I can take a hit before I get in that hit space, and that was not the case. But normally you can get lit up a little bit and burn through some health, and it's okay. But once they go into alarm mode, they're in alarm mode. They go, they're on fast path, and their guns out already, and yeah, they will fire at will.
And what about between buildings? Do you get a health refresh between buildings, or do you have to?
That's a good question. I don't remember if I did. I would see health packs with some routine. So, and you can heal above your normal health. So you can get it up high and then come in, and lose some of that and be okay. So yeah, I don't know when you heal up completely. That makes sense though. Probably between buildings you do. It'd be impossible if you didn't, right? Because you continue to go down and never have a chance to come back up.
Unless you were good.
Yeah, well, indeed, there is that, because I'm still getting hit by the robots at least once. And I was going to say, on that level that you saw me on, I intentionally got all of those robots in alarm mode, because one of the things that they do in that mode is they also start moving the furniture around. I think both to uncover places that you're hiding, because sometimes you're hiding behind furniture, and so suddenly the furniture in front of you will, like, particleize, move across the room, and then reappear, and there you are, and they start shooting you. And then the other thing they do is sometimes they will move furniture out of the room that you're in and into their room, where you then have to go and get it. But then randomly, sometimes the furniture just jumps into the room that you're in where they are not. And so I had to just play the game of sitting there and waiting for them to throw all the furniture into my room. And that's why I got all 5 robots lit up, so that they were all doing that. And it happens every, 5 or 10 seconds that they will send furniture my way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Clever use of game mechanics.
Exactly. So I gamed it a little bit. And it didn't pay off in the end. I still lost. So, I think that was a pretty good run for me. That game for you was just so I take it, but maybe next week we'll give you something better.
Well, speaking of which.
Indeed. My choice for next week, and I will have to check to see if this is it looks like it could be a real game, but mine is called Sacrifice by Shaker. Game of hard decisions. Aren't they all?
Like, I got Patches of Adventure. Have a short adventure looking for seeds, growing your power.
Okay. Short adventure. Is it a game as well?
Patches of Adventure. Yeah, it looks like a game. It looks like, I would think it. If I already didn't know, that I was saying that, I would. This looks like it would be like Zelda on like a Game Boy. If Zelda were on an old Game Boy, is what the screen it kind of looks like.
Okay.
But
so mine is actually a role-playing game, and it's actually designed to run on on the system of a system that you already have in play. It's just to kind of augment it. So that ought to be interesting, because I do have role-playing resources that I can throw at it. So I should be able to give that justice.
armed with only your knowledge and shovel, you strike out in the day to begin your quest. Because the more seeds you get, the more powerful you'll become. And that's because the mayor has declared it's the start of the harvest season festival. And to kick it off, he has begun a seed collecting competition.
Okay, so it's a little Stardew Valley, and it looks like Zelda.
Yeah.
Except for the Game Boy Green, as you mentioned.
So we will, I guess we'll find out next week.
Yeah, should be a good one. All right, until then, good game.
Until then, good game.